Alright, hope everybody's doing well. I wanted to do a kind of a different style of video today talking about media, which I do from time to time, but I wanted to just talk about some observations I made in the DVD VCR world. So, with the digital online streaming, people are dumping their DVDs and VCR tapes left and right and not realizing that it's still the Wild West of everything. And what happens, I'm a little huffing and puffing and run up and down the stairs to grab a bunch of media here. So, excuse me. What's happening is people are finding out that whatever they were watching through streaming has now disappeared, or went to a different platform that they can't get to. It's like, oh man, I'm watching the Hogan Family on Rewind TV or whatever it is. And then it might disappear. And it's like, okay, well, let's go buy the DVD and find out, oh, there's no DVD. Oh, it was only on for 4 or 5 seasons or something ridiculous like that. I don't know the whole deal. Jason Bateman and Jeremy Light and Sandy Duncan and Valerie Schmallery, all those people. So there's all of that. So that's kind of crazy. I remember back in the 90s, me and my brother would go to things like Videoland and Blockbuster, and some of those stores would actually clearance out other VCR tapes from different stores that they had purchased. So they were basically buying the inventory of other stores and put them on their clearance and discount racks, or they would put them into their VCR stores. So a lot of time, their rental shelves. So a lot of times stores you would see like ancient rental tags from numerous VCR stores, DVD rental stores. So let's get into what I have here. This will be just a mix of everything because that's just the way I have to do it here. This is 1988 World Series, the official video narrated by Bob Costas. There are different versions out there, but I think this is the one that did not make it to DVD. This was my grandma's tape, I believe it was, the 1988 World Series here, and that's one of the only reason I have it. If I had been able to grab that on DVD, I would probably replace it, but you can't replace everything due to the prohibitive cost nature, and of course trying to source all these things here. Here's a DVD here, but this is what we call a snapper case here, and they don't make snapper cases anymore. They do have some collectability. This was at the RIP FYE, and I got this for $1. I don't know what 7, there's a Circuit or magazine or something like that, but it's got interviews with BT, Modest Mouse, Ween, Victoria Williams, and Fu Manchu. I just think it's kind of cool. It doesn't have a ton of value. It's not a super long DVD either, but visit BT at home and go behind the scenes of his Never Gonna Come Back Down music video and numerous other things on here. And I just thought for $1 that would be worth it to grab it. Again, this is never going to be put back on a DVD. Again, it's essentially what we call out of print. This one here is a DVD bootleg, and I forget the guy's name here, but the guy who I can't read that right now. But the big guy on the show, I can't think of his name, was the comic relief, the big guy. This came directly from him. I believe he just passed away, the camp counselor, I think, recently. I think his name was Kevin something or other. But yeah, this guy right here, he autographed that. I got it off of his eBay page, and it came with like a Garbage Pail Kid style card of him. Seasons 1 and 2. Right here. This is a bootleg here, and the quality is okay, and some of the quality is not okay. But salute your shorts here. And this is one that people would love to have on DVD for those fans of the 90s. Just really cool. Then I have this, which is probably on DVD, but I just thought it was kind of amusing because it's Tom and Huck with Jonathan Taylor Thomas and Brad Renfro. I think Brad Renfro has deceased, but this is brand new factory sealed. I got this at RIP, another store called Buybacks, and Buybacks sold this to me for 25 cents, brand new factory sealed. And one of the clerks at the register said, "Oh man, I was gonna buy that." I said, "Well, sorry, had your chance. Did you really?" No, that's okay. It's got some sort of damaged corner there, so this is not a gradable VCR tape because wow, it's brand new factory sealed. Even if it was a mint condition brand new factory sealed copy, I have just kept this copied for the last 10 plus 15 years that I've owned it because I thought that was kind of funny. Happy Days is one of those that got onto DVD pretty quickly, but then it stalled for the longest time, and finally here's like the 5th season. I don't know when that came out here, probably 3, 4, 5 5-10 years ago, but still, it took me ages and ages and ages to get all of these on DVD. I think I have all of them. I have to double check and make sure that I'm not missing one of the last seasons there. But one of the things was is when I started my Happy Days run when I was a kid, I got presented with the Jumping of the Shark and all the later ones here. Those are the ones that I understood, you know, the newer ones. I did not know 2 or 3 years before that, even though I was alive during those particular filmings, I was not watching Happy Days when I was just born. I mean, it was Happy Days for everybody, but I just wasn't watching Happy Days, if that makes sense. And again, music rights is one of the most difficult ones to probably get on DVD. Same thing with WKRP in Cincinnati. I don't have that sitting right here, but it recently got a full DVD release, which is crazy. Here is American Dream. I knew nothing about it. It's got Stephen Mocht in it and some other people I've never heard of. I think Karen Garrison and John McClure. I think this was a short-lived TV production. Maybe this was just a pilot. I don't really know. But somebody's put it in a clamshell case, or I mean one of these large cases. I forget what not a clamshell, but you know what I mean. It's one of these hard cases. And it was at a a Hollywood Video for whatever reason. This is 1983, so Hollywood Video, why would they have this? It was so super ancient by the time that that store probably hit. So they must have acquired some stuff from other stores and put this in here again. This was only like 90 minutes for this one running time. That's what it says here. So I think it was a pilot for a TV show. I am not 100% sure, but there is the relatively recent Hollywood Video sticker right there, and I think that's kind of cool. This is never going to get a DVD release because no one cares. No one cares. And sometimes I get Stephen Mocht confused with Peter Coyote. They had kind of a similar look at one point. Here's another one. Here is Ramona. This is, I can't remember if this was a PBS thing or what it was. It's got 2 favorite stories on here. Beverly Cleary's Ramona. She's very popular around here because there's a Beverly Cleary Elementary, I believe. I'm in Portland, maybe. But anyway, this is one of these sleepers here. Watch these kids movies because on the YouTube or the DVD, this is really beat up. It does play, but it says it says take 3 video is what that says on there. Hard to see that there, and then it's a bunch of other, I think that was their phone number maybe. But again, some of these that you would think that look like in very terrible condition are super rare. Super rare. This could be a $40 tape. I'm not even joking about that one. Then some of the other ones here, we have this Catch a Wave of Fun, the Southern California Disneyland travel video. That the only way it was probably produced was on VCR tape, and that was probably where your mailing address label went to. And this might actually have a little bit of value for those people that are collecting vintage Disney. And it also has a really nice reproduction of the box art in sticker form. You know, they did a really good job with some of the artwork. This one for Ramona is not so much. It's just her posed with her pet lemur or whatever it is, but our snow monkey, I don't know what that is. And then we got this one here, which is a sought-after tape. Not as much now that somebody's posted a copy of this on YouTube, but check this out on YouTube. It's called BMX Freestyle Hot, Rad, and Trick. I don't know if they have the whole thing, but this is crazy because it's a Michael Sembello soundtrack. Now, Michael Sembello is very famous for tons of 80s music, and also Maniac. He's a maniac, or whatever, he or she, Maniac. And then of course the Simpsons spoofed that with Groundskeeper Willie. But anyway, to make a quick story of this, this is very, very popular, because of the soundtrack and because it's very cool and dated, and very, very popular on YouTube. It's on Scimitar. This was given to me by somebody who was donating their stuff, and it's like, oh wow, that's cool. He said, here, it's yours, take it. And so I did, and I'm really happy because this is probably a $40-50 tape at least. I just really, back in the day, I wanted bicycles like this, and I wasn't able to get one. And I have some, but they're not anywhere close to the thousands of dollars of bicycles, and I don't have a ability to find one because they're just in everybody's personal collection. The next thing I have is a bunch of my WonderWorks family movie titles here. These are very, very hard to find. The House of Dies Drear. Even if you can find them, most of them are the feature films for families versions, and there are differences in some of those, not all of them. And this is the BWE video. You usually want to look for Public Media or BWE, but some of those could also be the altered versions. I found Caddy Woodlawn on DVD at the Dollar Tree, of all things. That was a public television WonderWorks family movie. The only difference is that I had to keep the VCR tape and the DVD because there were two, I think it was a VCR tape, like don't quote me on that, but I had two different versions and they were two different lengths. And it's possible I think they were two different DVDs as well. So you have to be on the lookout for some of these, rare movies. Sometimes there's two different versions of those. So people dump all of their, like they're doing right now, they're dumping all their DVDs and VCR tapes and finding out that, oh gosh, it's not on streaming anymore, or Disney has it locked up. But again, some of these older movies, check the DVD versus the VCR because there are some editing in some of those. Here's a Canterville Ghost, WonderWorks movie. Again, these are really hard to find. Daniel and the Towers, because technically these were promoted as kids movies and people probably didn't take very, very good care of them. And they're also kind of off the radar, so a lot of people are not putting them out for sale. WonderWorks family movie Home at Last. Some of these have very famous actors in it. Here's a WonderWorks family movie. This was, I think, a rental. No, actually, it had there was a tape residue there, a tape residue there. I think that was somebody's address label, I think, right there. But this is, again, distributed for feature films for families. Some of these you just cannot find without the editing on that, so you have to take what you can get. But you can see there's their logo right there. I see that all the time. But there is the public media video logo right there, so it's kind of a in-between one right there. And then we have this American Short Story collection with Ron Howard and Amy Irving. Very cool one here. Sherwood Anderson's I'm a Fool. And I don't know if this is on DVD there, but again, a Ron Howard acted thing. I thought that's kind of neat because, eventually he became just behind the scenes and not in front of the camera. So I just thought that was really cool, even though the artwork is cut. This is another Hollywood video one. I ended up with a lot of Hollywood videotapes here. This one's super hard to find in this particular cover here, Girl of the Limberlost. It's not my favorite particular movie here, but I'm collecting all the WonderWorks family movie ones. This is, again, BWE Video, and again, another difficult one to find. Some of these are not necessarily difficult to find or they're not super valuable, but the thing is that you're going to have to be going through like an eBay or Amazon and paying at least $15. I mean, I'd much rather pay 50 cents or $1 for a VCR tape than $15 for every one of them. Taking, chances that this is a Waltz Through the Hills. Two orphans want to go home, but home is halfway around the world. Not 100% sure I have watched that one yet there, so that's kind of neat here. And of course you have to have a VCR to play these. These are super not rare here, but there's different versions of the C.S. Lewis Chronicles of Narnia. I have several versions of these. I have Prince Caspian, The Silver Chair, and then I have The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe in another format where all my other tapes and things are. I parceled out hundreds of movies, but unfortunately the movies where they had to go still require an entire coffee table and rows, stacks and stacks and stacks this way and that way and the other thing. And it's really kind of unfortunate that I can't get all my movies sorted. I put some on some shelves, but my PBS documentary collection took one entire shelf, and then that left room for nothing else. I go, well shoot, what do I do now? So I'm in the process of organizing all this stuff, but this just gives you a small taste of videos and tapes and DVDs that may or may not be off the radar. Again, lots of TV shows, reality shows. Let's see, Battle Network Stars never made it a DVD, but it was on ESPN Classic, and they stopped running that for a while. I don't know if it's still being ran anywhere. The Hogan Family, which I've been watching on Rewind TV, I may have mentioned that earlier. That is I think, as far as I know, not on DVD, because I've been looking on eBay for something related to that, and DVDs have not been showing up. So I was like, it's probably not on DVD. Then somebody else mentioned that Drew Carey, and again, some of these threads and posts that I've been looking at are super, super ancient, so I don't know how current they are. But at one time, Drew Carey only had Season 1 or Season 2 on DVD, and they had gobs of seasons. There's musical rights, especially in the theme song, A 5 O'Clock World, that kind of stuff. So who knows? And then there's numerous other things you wouldn't even think. It was like, well, this is not a DVD, this is not a DVD. And Ahead of the Class just made a DVD release a few years ago. However, that being said, I haven't seen the second one come out. Or if it has, it's a little bit up there in price. I want to wait for it to come down. But as much as you wait for these DVDs to come down in price, they go back up. Because again, with the closing of stores like FYE and the only availability through eBay and Amazon, you have to deal with those particular prices. So you don't get in-store sales or discounts or club membership sort of things, and out of sight, out of mind. Now FYE did not have some of the rarest movies that you could ever find, but they did have some things like that BT tape here, BT, and this one here. This was only $1 here. And the days of finding dollar DVDs and VCR tapes are pretty much over. There are only a few places that do that anymore. Goodwill, this would have been about $4 or $5 at Goodwill. And then I always say, you gotta be joking me. And it'll be on the shelf for the next 50 years. But I wanted it because I wanted to try something different, branch out. I like to have a collection, and I'm sure you guys do too as well. I like to have a collection of movies that no one has ever heard of, because I don't want to have the same collection as a person over here and over here. What's the point? If they're collecting everything this way and this way, I might as well collect stuff that no one else has. And essentially that's how my collection started from day one. I wanted movies that I couldn't just go to the normal Walmart and Target and find every afternoon. There's no point in that. There really isn't. You got to have a point to doing something. And, if I was just collecting this stuff if I'm just collecting movies that I wanted and loved to watch all the time, I wouldn't care what kind of service it was on. So I would not, necessarily be reaching out to the far ends of the earth for some of this really obscure stuff. And some of it really isn't all that obscure. Sometimes you just seeing it on TV every day, and then all of a sudden it disappears, and where did it go? Where in the world did it go? So I hope everybody enjoyed that one, and thank you for watching.